China neglected it.
General Secretary of Maulik Jarokilo Parties, Prakash Shrestha sir. Welcome to the Gorkha Spirit.
Thank you very much.
How do you see the India-China 12-point agreement about the Lipu Lake route?
See, if we see, before talking about that, we see three very basic fundamental things about our South Asians relations, right? From the beginning, our king Prithvi Narayan Shah, Sri Panch Brahma Raj Prithvi Narayan Shah, said that in Nepali there is a
Divya Pradesh.
yes, in Divya Upadesh, there is, he clearly written that Chinसँग ठुलो घा राख्नु means a very deeply friendship should be there with the Chin, right? China. And दक्षिणको छिमेकी चनाखो छ, like that means it's kind of very kind of fraud nature, right? So that begins our relations. The previous history, there was another one, but in the modern Nepal, if we talk, that is the very fundamental things with our international relationship, right? But his own son, Bahadur Shah, he was just against his father's principle because he fought against with his China. At that time, the ruler was a Qing Bangshi, I think. His name was Qianlong. His name was. He's 61 years. Till 61 years, he ruled the China, right? So at that time, Bahadur Shah fought against the China, and there is a Betrabati treaty there, right? And later, the relations was very negative with the China, and after the Janga Bahadur, rage of the Janga Bahadur Rana, he come again, he made a good relations with the British. His great-grandson was in the ruler, the Qianlong's great-grandson was a king of China. And at that time, in his time, the China empire, Chinese empire was very weak because at that time there is Opium War, Opium War second, and another their internal cultural war was there. So Janga Bahadur was so precious that he promised to send 10,000 Nepalese army to suppress the war, right? And China neglected it. He rejected to asking for the Nepalese army. So there is another one. Now, after the Rana came, even the Rana, we can divide the Rana into two different aspects. Janga Bahadur is one. From Chandra Shamsher, our relationship with India and China all destroyed. So it is very important. From that time, the Mohan Shamsher and the rage of the Prajatantra, we call it, the democracy came, and the Barabude 12-point agreement, we say. From that, the India became a very, very attacking base. He came to with the Nepal, right? So, these 4-5 generations we have realized, right? So, based on that, we can clearly define that. Today's the India-China link, trade link in our land, right, is a dispute land. If we see that, it's nothing else. This is based on that our policy. So our policy should be so strong. We became so poor. We don't have any existence in international community, do we? We don't have, because our prime minister goes into the arena of international community. They have just one intentions, to take a photo either with Xi Jinping or in the before Bush or now the American president, right? This is only the intention. That's why they have no any vision. They don't have any imaginations for their country, right? So based on that, the international community, our neighbor are dominating us, and this is the one example. So historically, yes, historically it is our land, based on historical facts, or if we see our maps, right, it is our own land, but they never asked us. It is against the international trade policy. We should raise our finger with the international court. Why it's happening? Because the India raised the today's our leaders, so-called leaders, either MLA or Congress or Maowadi. How can Maowadi ask to the China? They raise the finger against the China. He doesn't have any courage. You know, once in Nepal Airlines, they bought 5 aeroplanes, right, from China, and it is a very loss to our country. And lots of the political leaders in parliamentary, they asked for the China, and what Maowadi replied? I don't know. There is the relations between the Nepalese and Chinese country relations, right? They replied such a stupid questions. Now, do they have a courage to raise against the finger against the Lipulek trade link? Do they have courage? Either Congress or the MLA, because they were raised in India. They are just the puppets. They're just the puppets. They don't have any courage to raise the finger against them.
So, what do you think about the Nepalese sovereignty after this agreement in trade?
It's a very critical question, right? It seems our sovereignty is declared by anyone, right? We are independent country, right? But our neighbor country, one is socialist, the biggest socialist, and our south neighboring is one of the biggest capitalists, right? They have already eaten the other's land. Either if we talk about Tibet or about Sikkim, still they have their eyes on our land. They have still their eyes on our land. It's in Nepal. We are looking at Jarokilo Party. We are looking at this phenomenon, right? Seriously, we are looking at the phenomenon. So we are still raising the voice against it. If something happened, we definitely go to the international court. And in our country, we raise some movement. Of course, we will raise our movement, right? One part is that. The another is, see, there is we call it the Nehru Doctrine, right? Nehru Doctrine means, actually Nehru Doctrine is just a nothing. It's Indian modality, right? But exactly it is something rules that were built by the British, making a buffer zone area, right? So now Bhutan Nepal and Burma, these are the buffer zones for the at that periods, right? It's called a Curzon. It's a Curzon rules, right? So it's Curzon rules exactly copied by the Indians, because it's one proverb, I think. It's a अंग्रेज चले गए औलाद छोड़ गए, means Nehru now today's India is just the औलाद, means a son, a grandson, or the great grandson of British, right? Still they are doing the activities like the British, right? Still we are independent country. Still we were independent country. India became independent. China became independent. Now still they have a similar thoughts. That was Curzon rules. Now it is called Nehru Doctrine. It won't work to this international politics. It won't work. We have our own dignity. We are our sovereignty, right? We know how to deal with that. But today's political leaders, they are just making it stupid to the people. We Nepalese people, they are making just a fool. They raise something, but they won't do there, right? It's happening.
So, to protect our sovereignty, what diplomatic steps can Nepal take to address the issue?
See, the history of country or history of a person, right? One time it raged, right? And all of a sudden they fall again. It's nature. Look at the USSR, how big was that, right? But the America became powerful. Now today someone will come in the power, right? We are now in a poor state. We are weak country. We don't have any strong international relations, right? But one day we rage again. Till that time, now the government of this country should go to the international court, write a letter, raise the finger to the international community. We should do that. After our turn will come, when we become this stronger, right? We will grab our land again. It's happening even in Europe, even in Arabs, right? Look at the Ottoman Empire. Everybody was grabbed by the Ottoman Empire. Later, everybody just make independent, right? Independency. They have their own land. So, the most important thing, the duty of our government is, we should go as soon as possible. We should go to the international community. We should condemn the policy, that way the trade agreement they are making, right? So one is that. The another is for the development of our country, right? It's a general objectives. We should make the thoughts which Nepalese peoples can easily understand, right? That's why we call it the Jarukilu, right? We raise our own thoughts on technology we should develop, right? Because it's a universalizations or globalizations, right? There is a 5 escapes. The one is ideo escape, cultural escapes, techno escape, economic escape, media escape, right? Everybody is all escaping, right? But what is our strong point? What is our identity? What is our idea? It should always grab by us, and we should give to the world. Still there is a chance, because the globalization is not only for them, for us also, right? So that's why that's 3 aspects we should do as much as possible, as soon as possible, right? So now, being a weak country in South Asia, right, we can only do that. After our turn will come, when we become developed, when we become stronger, right, we will grab our land again.
We are at the end. If you were a Prime Minister of Nepal, what might be your steps?
in this
In
situation.
this issue, yes.
See, if I were a prime minister, right, directly I will wrote the letters or raise the finger, or raise our voice against them in international court, because it's against the international trade policy, first thing. And the second is, I will call the international community, because it's a relation, right, with them. And general policy is, I will make our land, I will make this our thoughts and teach to the peoples, teach to the leaders, coming leaders, right, our own dignity. Because now if you go to Maowadi, Emale, Raprapa, and Congress, they don't have any Nepalese thoughts. They don't have any Joro, root. They don't have any locus, kilo. They don't have. So generally we should do that. Because China, I just gave you one example. The grandson of Qianlong was in great painful situations at the China. But he rejected the Janga Bahadur's support, right? Why? Because it is our China's policy was that. And our policy should be like that. But after the Mohan Shamsher, after the Chandra Shamsher, and after the Congress, after the Bahudal, after the Barabude 12-point treaty, everything destroyed. We don't have actually a dignity. International community just understand our sovereignty is still there, but our activities is not like that. So it's a sorrowful situation. So first, I will wrote the international community. We raise the voice. We raise the finger against the particular that trade link, right? And our management systems were made. That is, if not only me, the coming prime ministers, whoever will come into that country, they should play the role like that.
In these situations, if you were a prime minister,
Yes.
will you visit India in this situation?
It is also a diplomatic core, right? It is also diplomatic things. If I were, of course, 10 to 15 years, I won't go to the India, because it will create the India different perceptions within the international community, right? I will stop that going there. I will stop going China also, because even in China, in this trade ring, China also accepted that. Otherwise, he should ask us, right? But in this agreement, this is our land, that is our land, but nobody asks us. So both, we should play the role like that.
Thank you, sir, for joining with us.
Thank you.